You ever wonder how, when you take a look at a design collection, it just works? You are looking at someone else's work and you're like, wow, everything just feels so cohesive. There's a unity to the collection. This is exactly what we're going to be discussing on today's episode. We're going to be looking at the importance of motifs in sportswear design. How do we as designers effectively use motifs, which are these symbols, and these are repeating patterns, graphics, silhouettes, shapes, to create unity and to be able to create an aesthetic that is authentic and original to us. If you want your work to stand out, if you're tired of creating designs that look like everyone else's, if you're struggling to find your voice, this episode is for you. So what is a motif? It's a symbol, a shape, the type of line, the type of pattern. It's a repeating structure. We see motifs in architecture, fashion design, and music. Motifs can be something physical, it can be something visual, it can be something heard, but in general, motif is a signature. It's a repeating icon. Let's look at architecture, for example. A well-known architect, Zaha Hadid, has the motif of organic shapes, of flowing continuous lines across her work, and when you take a look at her work, you know that this is an authentic Zaha Hadid design. You as a sportswear or as a fashion designer can employ the same methodology in your work to create cohesion, consistency across your products so that everything registers as a collective. So why do you want to use motifs? Well, in short, motifs are an effective way to create an expansive and well-merchandised collection that feels like it has legs and its own two legs to stand on. You can use motifs in different ways across different products to create cohesion and to allow you to explore in further depth what those motifs can do for your collection. Let's just say you have the circular shape motif or the geometric shape motif in your collection. You can use that shape in different ways. You can use them across different scales. You can use them on the trims, the hardware, the accessories, but that consistency and the different ways in which you're using the motif to create depth gives you that clarity, gives you that expansive and well-merchandised feel to the collection. Right now you're asking, Shadi, what in the hell are you talking about? What is a practical way that I can effectively use motifs in my work? Let's look at the two key categories of design. You have your 2D work and you have your 3D work. What 2D has to do is effectively the design stitching, and 3D has to do with the silhouette, the fabric, and the drape. In 2D, we have a bunch of different ways that you can use our motifs. First is going to be in the physical seam work of the collection. Let's just say you have an organic motif. Your shapes are more organic, they're meant to flow. It's all about speed and sort of that curviness. You can actually cut your patterns in a way that create that curviness, and you can bring seam work across your designs in different ways, in different formats to accentuate that motif. So instead of using sharp angular lines, you're consistently using seams and the shapes of seams that are much more curvaceous and a lot more organic in their approach. You can also create patterns and prints. So if you're creating a camel pattern, perhaps you're trying to go for a more bubbly camel pattern, a more circular, a more organic camel pattern. If you're creating something more abstract, again, you're not going to go for sharp angles. You're going to go for much more rounded, bubbly shapes, shapes that create and push that sense of organic. Another great way is in the top stitching. Also as a way to bring further attention to that motif, you don't actually have to cut the fabric. You can also top stitch in ways that further push that motif. A good example of this is when we're creating superhero inspired apparel for one of our clients, SuperX. What we do is we always take the motif of the character, of the superhero aesthetic, and we use that consistently through the work. When it comes to 3D, you can call out that motif in your silhouettes and in the fits. You can employ this circular or this organic motif into your pocket shapes. You're breaking the traditional grid even in your trims and in your accessories. A well-designed collection has their motifs in ways that are consistent. So even in your packaging, your hang tags, your labels. So what are some must-have disciplines for using motifs in your work? I definitely recommend to avoid your motif getting stale. How do you actually use motifs in your work in an effective way? There are some must-have disciplines that I recommend. First is use your motif in different ways. Don't allow the motif to get stale. Don't just repeat the same thing. Don't be a one-trick pony. If you're getting a lot of success creating these large organic shapes, perhaps on another piece, go more minuscule. Go for a smaller scale in terms of how you approach applying that motif. When you look at the collection holistically, just creates more depth and more variety for what you have. Consider using your motif in different colors. So if you're cutting your motif into the fabric, then maybe have different colored fabrics for different parts of the paneling. You can even use texture to push forward that motif. Last but not least, always find new ways to innovate, always find new ways to push that motif forward. The more you're able to get out of that motif, the more you're able to push your aesthetic, the more of a signature look that you're going to have for the brand. At the end of the day, as designers, we want to add to the body of knowledge. We want people to look at our work and to feel, wow, that is definitely this person's brand. And this is the power of using motifs consistently and effectively. If you're still wondering what the hell is a motif, well, maybe watch the video again, or if you need my personal help and you want to know how we can apply motifs into your own collections, into your own work, so you can have an aesthetic and a look that stands out, well, check the link in the description. I offer one-on-one personalized consultation calls every single week, but the slots are limited. And what we can do is we can look at your brand, we can look at your target customer, and I can help you come up with a motif. And then we can look at different ways, different innovative ways to implement it into your collection. So check the link, slots are going fast, so make sure to do that. Guys, I say this from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of FittDesign TV, and till next time, stay awesome.